My mother-in-law tried to destroy my house over a fence, so I got her entire home condemned. My mother-in-law, Sandra, showed up to my wedding wearing a floor-length white lace gown and a tiara. She spent the entire reception telling guests that I was a gold digger and that her son deserved someone with more class. My maid of honor handled it perfectly by tripping and drenching Sandra's white dress in a massive glass of red wine. Sandra screamed that I had orchestrated a physical assault and promised she would get her revenge. 2 years later, my husband and I bought the empty lot directly next to Sandra's house to build our first home. The harassment began before the foundation was even poured. Sandra called the city every single day, claiming our construction noise was killing her pet birds and that our gravel was illegal. The breaking point came when I finally installed a beautiful 6-foot cedar privacy fence. Sandra was furious because it blocked her view of the sunset. She marched onto our lawn and screamed, "I am going to make sure the city tears this down and sues you into the street." She filed a formal complaint with the county, alleging the fence was an illegal structure and encroached on her property. A week later, an official surveyor and a state environmental inspector arrived. He spent 4 hours checking maps and measuring the soil. The lead inspector eventually knocked on Sandra's door and told us to gather around. He explained that my fence was completely legal and sat exactly on my property line. However, the survey revealed a massive problem for Sandra. It turns out her house was built 30 years ago on protected state wetlands without any of the required permits. Because Sandra's formal complaint forced an official inspection of the land records, the city was now legally required to intervene. They condemned her house on the spot as an environmental hazard. Since the home was never legally permitted, her insurance company refused to cover a single cent of the loss. Sandra went from trying to take my fence down to losing her entire life savings and her home in a single afternoon. She is currently living in a studio apartment while the city prepares to demolish her house. My boss tried to steal my personal laptop for his son, so I destroyed his entire business. Arthur owned a boutique software firm where I was the lead architect. He treated the office like his personal piggy bank and the staff like his servants. Last Tuesday, he saw my new $4,000 custom laptop on my desk. He did not ask to buy it or offer a trade. He told me his son wanted that exact model for his 14th birthday and I should give it to him as a sign of loyalty to the firm. When I laughed, thinking it was a joke, Arthur turned red. He told me if I wanted to keep my office, I would have the laptop gift wrapped on his desk by 5 o'clock. I tried to keep the peace and offered him my older silver backup laptop for free just to get him off my back. Arthur shoved the silver laptop back at me and screamed that his son only likes space gray. He told me I was a selfish employee and he would be deducting the cost of a brand new space gray model from my next 3 paychecks. That was the moment I decided Arthur was finished. I spent the entire weekend calling every single employee and our top 5 clients. Everyone was tired of his arrogance and constant demands. Monday morning, I walked into Arthur's office and handed him my resignation. Seconds later, 14 other staff members walked in and dropped their badges on his desk. He walked out the front door and straight into the office building directly across the street where I had signed a lease the day before. By noon, our 3 largest clients had signed contracts with my new company. Arthur tried to sue for a non-compete violation, but he had been too cheap to ever have us sign any legal paperwork. Without a team, he missed a massive delivery deadline for a state contract. The state sued him for $500,000. He had to sell the business and his home to pay the settlement. Now, I see him walking to the bus stop every morning while I look out from my new corner office. A gym influencer tried to ban me for walking past her camera, so I got her and the manager fired. I've been a member at my local gym for 5 years and never had a single issue. Last Tuesday, a fitness influencer named Tiffany took over the entire free weight section for 3 hours. She had 3 tripods, 2 ring lights, and a laptop blocking the main walkway to the weight tree. I needed a pair of 20-pound dumbbells to finish my set, so I stepped over a tripod cable to reach them. Tiffany immediately started screaming at me. She yelled, "My brand is worth more than your entire life, and you just cost me thousands of dollars by ruining this shot." She even demanded I apologize on her live stream to her 10,000 followers for my quote-unquote toxic presence. I ignored her and finished my workout, but 10 minutes later, the gym manager, Garrett, approached me. Garrett is clearly infatuated with Tiffany and told me I was being aggressive and creating a hostile environment for creators. That night, Garrett sent me a formal warning via email. He claimed I was harassing female members and threatened a lifetime ban if I ever stepped in Tiffany's shot again. He was so arrogant that he tried to CC his supervisor to look tough, but he made a massive mistake. He used the internal company directory and accidentally included the entire corporate board of directors and the regional legal team. I realized this was my chance for a systemic checkmate. I replied to the entire thread. I attached the gym's own security footage, which I had already requested as part of a formal complaint, showing Tiffany blocking fire exits with her gear and Garrett ignoring other members' safety. Pointed out that Garrett was using company time to protect a non-paying influencer while harassing a loyal paying customer. The board's response was instant. By the next morning, the regional director was at our gym. Garrett was fired on the spot for gross misconduct and creating a massive legal liability. Tiffany was permanently banned, and her promotional contract with the gym's parent company was terminated for violating the safety policy. The gym now has a strict no tripod rule, and I got a 5-year membership for free as an apology for the harassment. My client tried to sue me for $1 million after faking a fall on her own camera. I own a small exterior design company. I spent 3 weeks building a premium cedar deck for a client named Patricia. The project cost $28,000. Patricia was thrilled during the entire process, even texting me daily about how much she loved the midnight walnut stain she chose. But the moment I handed her the final invoice, her entire personality shifted. She told me the color was hideous and looked like cheap mud. She claimed I ruined her home value and refused to pay the remaining $15,000. When I pointed to her signed approval forms, she screamed that I was a scam artist and chased me off her driveway with a garden hoe. 1 week later, I was served with a massive lawsuit. Patricia was suing my business for $1 million for personal injury. She claimed I left a stack of loose lumber on her front walkway, causing her to trip and suffer a permanent spinal injury. She even included a photo of herself in a neck brace. My insurance agent told me we would likely have to settle because juries often side against contractors in injury cases. I knew I had not left any wood behind. I remembered the high-end security camera mounted right above her front door. My lawyer subpoenaed the footage for the hour she claimed the accident happened. The video was incredible. It showed Patricia walking out her front door in perfect health. She looked around to see if the street was empty, then she dragged a heavy piece of scrap wood from her own garage and placed it on the path. She literally practiced falling 4 times, adjusting her body to look more pathetic each time. On the 5th try, she laid down and started howling for help. The judge did not just dismiss her case. He referred the footage to the district attorney. Patricia was charged with felony insurance fraud and perjury. I won a countersuit for the full contract amount plus $100,000 in damages. She had to liquidate her retirement fund to pay me. She's now a convicted felon and completely broke. My cousin demanded I pay for her wedding dress or she would disown me from the family. Rachel decided her dream wedding required a custom $5,000 gown she could not afford. She sent a group text to her 5 bridesmaids, including me, demanding we each wire her $1,000 immediately to cover the cost. When I told her I could barely afford my own rent, she exploded. She told me I was a selfish brat and that if the money was not in her account by Friday, she would have her father, my Uncle Peter, disown me from the entire family. The rest of the bridesmaids were terrified and started selling their furniture to please her. I knew something Rachel did not. She and her fiancé had been living in a rental house owned by a small local investment group that was currently liquidating its assets. I had recently received a massive inheritance from my late grandmother that I had kept secret. Instead of paying for her dress, I contacted the investment group and made a full cash offer on the deed to Rachel's house. I also purchased her outstanding rental debt, which had ballooned to over $6,000 because she had been skipping rent to pay for wedding flowers. The deal closed in 48 hours. On Friday morning, Rachel texted the group chat saying I was officially dead to the family and blocked my number. I drove to her house and taped a formal notice to her front door. She stormed outside, screaming that I was trespassing and she was calling the police. I handed her the new ownership papers and my identification. I told her, Rachel, I'm your new landlord. You are 4 months behind on rent and your lease allows for immediate termination for non-payment of arrears. Her face went white as she realized I now owned her home. I told her she had 24 hours to vacate or I would file a formal eviction that would ruin her credit forever. She begged for mercy, but I reminded her that she disowned me. She lost her deposit, her home, and her wedding. My manager stole my $10,000 commission, so I had him arrested in front of the whole office. I worked in enterprise software sales, and my manager Marcus was an absolute nightmare who took credit for every win while blaming us for every loss. When my $10,000 commission check was supposed to hit my account, it showed as zero, and Marcus smugly told me the company restructured the bonus plan overnight. He claimed the money went to the management fund, but he was actually pocketing my hard-earned cash. Marcus did not know I was part of a secret corporate pilot program, where high-value accounts were being tracked by an external audit firm specifically to catch internal fraud. I did not argue or shout. I simply went back to my desk and emailed the audit team. They responded within minutes with digital proof that Marcus had manually rerouted my funds to his personal bank account using an old administrative override code. Next morning, I walked into Marcus's office and demanded my money. Marcus laughed and told me to get out before he fired me for insubordination. He stood up, towering over me, and screamed that I was a replaceable cog who should be grateful to even have a job. He grabbed his desk phone and said he was calling the police to have me escorted out for trespassing and harassment. He started dialing, but I just held up my own phone. I told him he did not need to bother. I had been on the line with the local police department for 10 minutes, and the audit team from corporate was on the other line listening to everything he said. At that exact moment, 2 officers and the regional director walked through the glass doors of the sales floor. Marcus turned white as the regional director handed him a termination notice and a summary of the wire fraud charges. Marcus tried to claim it was a technical error, but they handcuffed him right there at his mahogany desk. He lost his job and faces 5 years in prison. My commission was deposited that afternoon with a $5,000 bonus.